people when I record, just in case, you want to have your name changed or, your camera off, what have you. But let me go ahead and screen share the syllabus. We'll go over that, and then we'll go over some Blackboard or some Zoom tips. So here we go. Alrighty. And again, I know that you all have access to this and you all can read clearly, right? But I always think it's helpful for y'all to see me talk through it because sometimes just the tone of things can feel different. So the best way to reach me this semester is to email me. I'm not in my office at all. And so, although if you do call my office number from the directory, I get the voicemails emailed to me, so I will get it, but it's just sort of a roundabout when you could have just emailed me, right? I try to be good about my email. To be perfectly honest, the past couple months I haven't been because I took some time off between Christmas and New Year's. I just needed it. And so I am trying to catch up with my email now, and I plan to be much more efficient. I would say give me at least 24 hours to get back to you. Sometimes I'll be quicker. And then on the weekends, I typically don't respond to emails on Saturdays. That's sort of our family day. But by Sunday, I'll get back to you. So instead of doing like a Zoom office hour where I just hang out and like hope someone will show up, what I figured out works better last semester is to do scheduled appointments. And so if you click this link, it takes you to a website where you can schedule anywhere from a 10 to a 30-minute appointment with me. And actually one of your assignments for the class is to do that, just so you learn the system. And please, please, please come to me with questions, concerns. I can't assist you if I don't know you need help. Please, please ask. I'm always willing to virtually sit down with you. And, sometimes last semester, a student made an appointment to ask me one question. It took less than a minute, but it was so much easier than doing, 10 emails back and forth to try to get clarification. So please don't ever feel like you're putting me out by doing that. I only have hours on there. I am comfortable and available to meet with you. So please use that. To be perfectly honest, I have no idea how snow days will work this year since we're remote. But here's where we'll get that info if it happens. I feel like we're due for a good snow. The last time we had a really good one was 2018. So yeah, it's about time. So we'll see what happens. Alrighty. So some of you may already have encountered this, but Kim in the bookstore was having a hard time because of the publisher getting the information she needed for our book. So she can get physical copies of our book, but not the access codes for Launchpad, which you do need. So what I highly recommend you do, also it's substantially cheaper than buying a hard copy of the book, is to purchase the ebook with Launchpad access. When we get to the Blackboard walkthrough, I'll show you how to do that. Now, I acknowledge that some of you, because of your financial aid, will have to go through Kim, and she and I can work with you to make that work. You have to make sure your Launchpad code is for the 10th edition because it's changed each edition. And if you bought the wrong one, you can work with Launchpad to get it switched out. I've had students do that in the past. And if you are buying a separate hard copy of the text, make sure it's at least the 8th edition DSM-5 update. In 2013, the DSM-5 came out, and it was a substantial change. And so your textbook has undergone a substantial change as a result of that. Alrighty, I'm not going to read you the course purpose, but basically this is for you to learn about abnormality and who gets to decide what is abnormality and what are the categories of mental illness. How do we think critically about therapy, about diagnoses? And also, I'm just hoping that it makes you more empathetic for folks who do struggle with mental illness. I think it's a common thing in our society to sort of dismiss mental illness. Oh, just if you're depressed, just smile, you'll feel better, right? And the best analogy I can give, and actually I usually use the flu, but I'll update it, right? If you had COVID, someone wouldn't be like, just take off your ventilator and get up, right? And for depression can be just as critical for people as can other disorders. So hoping to bring that empathy. Blackboard is where we'll do everything. So keep up with it. That's where you'll turn in all your assignments. And that's where you'll access your Launchpad assignments as well. All right, as I mentioned, I'm going to record these. I know there's going to be times where, you know, maybe you, hopefully, again, God forbid none of you do, but like if you get COVID, you're not going to be able to sit up sometimes, right? Like, so maybe you won't be able to attend, or maybe you have to take care of a family member who's sick, or maybe you have to go work at your, you know, frontline job. And so that's why I'm going to record the lectures for you. But if you are, you know, able to be here, because that lets you ask questions. This is typically a class where we get a lot of really good questions about the disorders, about how we sort of process these things. I ask that you don't record, especially since I'm recording, there's kind of no need for you to do so. So, you know, just rely on my YouTube videos, you'll be good. I do encourage you to use your cameras if possible to allow us to connect with one another. But I also acknowledge there are times where you just don't want to have them on, right? Or as happened in one of my classes already yesterday, there are some times when your Wi-Fi just sucks so much you can only like come through clearly if you have your camera off, right? And that's fine. If you are around other people and you want to be able to ask sort of more maybe sensitive questions, I encourage you to use the Zoom chat for that. Feel free to use headphones if you need to. Do whatever you need to do. I also want to say I won't judge you for how you look. So if you're like, oh, I don't know if I want Dr. Myers to see me because I'm still in bed, like, I don't care. But I also respect that, like, if you don't want your camera on because of that, that's cool. So this is a scholarly community, and particularly in classes like this, just keep in mind that, again, there may be people in class who have struggled with this particular disorder or know someone who has. So again, I just ask that you approach each other with empathy as we're thinking about these disorders. You know, listen and contribute and ask your questions. I think that's honestly where we get some of the best information in this class, is when you guys ask questions that go beyond what I have on the PowerPoint. And some of these are controversial. I know we're going to talk about paraphilias. We're going to talk about Freudian theories, right? And so we'll use terms like phallus. And none of this is meant to make you uncomfortable. This is meant to just use the terminology that has been applied within the field. As I mentioned before, I know there are times you might not be able to be here. I'm not taking any points off for you not attending. However, I will tell you, people in the past who have not consistently attended my classes do horribly on the exams, just because I embellish on what's on the PowerPoint and even what's in the book. So I highly recommend you be here whenever you can. I will take attendance, and that's just because Academic Affairs has asked us to. And to be perfectly honest, I'm now just doing it for myself to kind of keep track. And if you miss like 2 days in a row, you'll get an email from me, and it's not me yelling at you. It's just like, genuinely, are you okay? Or like, are you sick and you need help and I can help get you something? So please know if you get one of those emails from me, it's not in anger. It's genuinely like, I want to make sure you're all right. So that's the main reason I will take attendance. So yes, please review the material. I haven't had people do this lately, which I appreciate, but most professors' least favorite question people ask is, did you do anything in class when I missed? Because it's kind of like, yeah, we just watched some cat videos because you weren't there. Like, of course they did something in class, right? So you could always rephrase that as, you know, what did I miss that's not on the PowerPoint or something like that. Again, because I'm so isolated, hopefully I won't end up with COVID. And again, hopefully I'll be able to get the vaccine soon because of my risk factors. But if for some strange reason that happened, I and Academic Affairs will communicate with you about how this would go on. For this class in particular, I feel the need to really emphasize that you are under no obligation to share your past experiences. And I sort of, I don't want to say totally discourage it because sometimes it can be helpful. But particularly, please don't talk about like your roommate or your friends' struggles with mental illness, your parents, because you might be around them if you're from home. If it's someone on campus, often we can figure out who that person is, right? And there's that confidentiality issue. I am glad to offer you support like any other professor, but I can't be your therapist for a couple reasons. One, I'm not licensed, so it's technically illegal. And two, for those of you who took ethics with me last semester, you know that that would put me in what's called a dual relationship. And the APA ethics code said I can't be your professor and also your therapist. I do have information for the counseling center, which is free, later in the syllabus. So your first assignment, so within the next month, is to set up one of these brief meetings with me. This is just, again, so you get to know my system. For those of you I haven't had before, it's for me to get to know you, you to get to know me, ask any questions you have about the class. You don't have to prepare anything. You just have to sign up for a meeting and show up when it's scheduled, and you get 10 points. So, you know, this is a nice way to, again, get to know my system, get some class credit for it. You do have exams in this class. They will be in class as much as possible, right? So I'll release them at the start of class, and there'll be a mix of multiple choice, fill in the blank, and short essays. And we'll do them via Blackboard. And what I ask is that you do sign on to the Zoom the day of the exam. How I did this last semester, and it worked really well, is that I kept the chat open and people could ask questions in the chat. And that way you don't have to like speak out loud and interrupt anybody else's concentration, but you are able to ask those questions. And if there's like a big typo or something, I can unmute and be like, okay, everybody, question 14, you know, look at that. Don't cheat on exams, don't do it. I don't want to have to take you to the honor console. You don't want to have to not be able to graduate with Latin honors because you had a plagiarism or cheating issue. Just don't do it. Makeup exams, again, I'm probably much more flexible this semester than I have been in past semesters. What I'll typically do is open the exam for you at a designated time. All right, what I think at least is the most fun project you do in this class, they're most fun for me to grade, and students seem to enjoy doing it too, is one of your projects is going to be to look at how the media portrays a disorder. So you will look at some representation. It could be, you know, a movie, a TV show, a magazine article, you know, some sort of YouTube video, or, you know, maybe a Twitter account, something like that, and how they portray the disorder. And then what you're going to do is read a scholarly article. And later in the semester, I'll show you more how to find those. And then you'll compare the two. How does what the research say compared to how it's portrayed? So just to give you all some examples, in the past, people have used things like the very special episode of Full House where DJ gets an eating disorder for like 22 minutes and then it's magically better. Or the movie Me, Myself, and Irene, which says that Jim Carrey has schizophrenia when he has dissociative identity disorder. But there's also some genuinely good ones. So for example, people have used The Notebook in the past and talked about Alzheimer's disease. You know, and so it doesn't have to be a critique. It can be like, this is actually good. It does match up in a lot of ways. So as you can see, there's very clear criteria for the project and how you turn it in. And I don't care what format you put this in terms of citations, etc., as long as you do it consistently. I think you don't have to do APA because I recognize there are people from all different disciplines in here. Here is the grading rubric for that paper. And again, as it gets closer to the due date, which is about 2 months away, we'll talk more about this. But again, just to start playing with ideas as we go forward. All right, and then your most consistent regular assignments will be your Launchpad activities, and this is why you do need those access codes. So the beginning of the semester, you'll do some video activities where you watch a video related to what we've talked about in class and then answer some questions about it. Then later in the semester, when we start talking about disorders, you're gonna do these activities called clinical choices, which are basically put you in the role of a therapist interviewing a patient, and you have to figure out what diagnosis do they have, what sort of treatment will work the best for them, etc. You have 9 assignments with the video activities, and there are 12 assigned, but you only have to do 9. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. You get 3 freebies. So if there are just days you forget, or you don't want to do the video ones, you just want to do the clinical choices, I'm not going to judge. Or if you don't do as well at one and you want to do all, do an extra one, I'll drop the lowest score. So that gives you, again, some additional flexibility. I'm super biased, and I think the clinical choices are awesome, but that's because I wrote them. So I hope that you do genuinely enjoy them. It was one of the more fun activities I've done because I got to help choose the arts and the video clips and things like that as well. Then I have instructions on how to get into our Launchpad section. I think there may have been 1 or 2 people who were registered before the weekend, and I had the worst time ever. For some reason, it just wouldn't talk to my Blackboard page, so I actually had to redo everything. Good fun. I love that. So if you were already enrolled before last Friday, you might need to sort of switch your enrollment over to this new section I created. And again, if you have any problems with that, please let me know. But the easiest, best way to make sure that it does link with Blackboard, because if it links with Blackboard, your Launchpad assignment grades will just automatically populate and you'll be able to keep track of your grade for the whole class there. Then I will show you when we go through the Blackboard page how to sign up. When you do that, you can also purchase the ebook and the code if you haven't done that yet too. So I'd highly recommend going through Blackboard, but if that doesn't work, there are some nice instructions here. Their customer support is pretty awesome. So please, if you're having a technical issue with it, you can't get logged on, or the assignment isn't taking, contact them, not me, because they don't give me any power to adjust anything technologically. I can't go in and fix anything for you. The only thing I can do is set up the assignments and then grade them. So I found their chat probably the easiest to use, but you can also do phone or an online form. And their hours I really, really appreciate because other companies that I've worked with, they kind of stop their support hours at 10. And I think last time I checked, they did till 2 or 3 in the morning. It's they know when y'all are awake, right? And doing these assignments. So I appreciate that very much. All right, and then the big group project, which of course will be an extra fun challenge this year, is that you will essentially do a mini teaching session, about 10 to 15 minutes, on a disorder we won't get to cover. So there are so many disorders that we have that we really can't get to all of them in this class. And I, over the years, I've actually had to cut more just because there's so much to say about the ones that exist. So I recommend disorders from these categories here because these are the ones we explicitly don't cover. But I included a link to the table of contents for the DSM, which lists all the disorders, so your group can look at them. So in the past, people have traditionally done things like learning disorders, autism spectrum disorders, Alzheimer's disease, narcolepsy, sleepwalking, things along those lines. Impulse control disorders include things like pyromania, kleptomania. I still remember clearly, maybe my first time teaching this here at Wesleyan, the group made a video and they did it on kleptomania. and they did it like an MTV True Life, and they had one of the group participants steal the other person's car. So it just like sticks in my mind as something really creative to illustrate it. So unfortunately, you can't do anything like schizophrenia or depression because I will be covering these. And this allows you all to learn about different disorders that we don't get the chance to cover. So you're going to, a month from yesterday, basically, give me a list of 3 topics you'd like to do. If you already know people in the class and you know who you would like to work with, you can include that in the document you turn in. If you don't, I just assign you by which disorder you're interested in. And then the whole group will like do the background research, come up with an outline for your presentation and meet with me on Zoom or Google Meet. And then the presentations are scheduled for our final exam time. So you do not have a cumulative final exam. You just have 4 content exams throughout the semester for this class. And we'll use that final exam time to do these presentations. We're scheduled for 8 a.m. We're gonna do 9 a.m. because 8 a.m. is just awful. We don't need to be up that early. And that'll give us plenty of time to get through all the presentations. So you can either present live or you can make a video and play it during class or during that exam period. Group members will rate each other's participation throughout the process. And, I just did this with my winter session course, and I appreciated that people were brutally honest when someone didn't carry their weight, because that's the only way I'm gonna know. So you can see you get 20 points out of your 100 for this project are due to that rating. And then you get points just for covering each of these topics. And then you get points for just, your ability to present coherently. So you see that adds up to 700 points for this class total. There are extra credit opportunities for this class. So we have seniors who are doing their capstone original research projects. We have faculty, including myself, who will be doing some research projects. And we have an online system to manage that now. So if you sign up at Sona Systems, if you've already done this for another psych class, you don't need to sign up again. But if you haven't before, you sign up and then you'll be able to see all the studies when they're posted. And the really great thing I love about this is then at the end of the semester, just see which studies you completed and can give you your points based on that. We're not reliant on like the researcher emailing me a list of people. So that's really great. If you don't want to be a guinea pig, no judgment, right? You can also write a short paper to get extra credit as well. Here's the information for Chris in the LRC, who is the Disability Support Specialist. He's also the person you talk to if you need to be entirely remote this semester. I told you that I had the counseling center information here. They are fantastic. And again, the services are free, which once you go out in the real world and realize how much therapy is, it's amazing. When I was on my residency, I had a client who didn't have insurance, and it cost her, I didn't set the rates. It cost her, I believe it was like $150 or $175 an hour to see me. And then she was also charged a $100 an hour facility fee, which again, I had no control over this. So free, right, is a big difference. And they're doing appointments virtually as well. Please, please, please don't violate the honor code in any way. I hate making people cry, and every time I have to confront someone over an honor code violation, they cry. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. So here is our general outline. So the first, not even a month, 3 weeks, we're gonna just cover background information. So like who gets to decide what's abnormal? What are the different ways of explaining abnormality? How do we do research in this area? How do we treat and diagnose people? So that'll be what's covered on the first exam. Then we'll cover mood disorders, depression, bipolar disorder. We cover those first, even though they're not really in sequential order with your book because they're the most common. So it's most likely you know someone who has a mood disorder. We talk about treatments of those because they're so well researched. There's an entire chapter of your book about treatments for mood disorders. We'll talk about suicide and suicide prevention as well. Then we'll talk about anxiety disorders. Again, I moved these to the beginning of the semester because these are some of the more common ones. And then we'll talk about stress-related disorders like PTSD as well. Then we'll talk about the dissociative and somatoform disorders. We kind of, after that second unit of anxiety and mood disorders, we get into the more rare disorders. So dissociative disorders are things to do with memory or consciousness changes. Somatoform disorders are things to do with health. Eating disorders, again, my area of specialty. We'll talk about sexual disorders and gender variations, and then schizophrenia as well. And then your last exam is pretty short amount of material. So we'll talk about substance use and personality disorders. And then, as I mentioned, your presentations are your last thing. So that's a lot of info. So I want to pause before I go and show you Blackboard and see if anyone has any questions I can answer for you.
I have a question about the book. So when I go in into Blackboard and I go into the Launchpad link, it's $99. So does that include the ebook as well, or only the?
Yep. So it's the ebook and the Launchpad.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's a lot cheaper than if you buy the hardcover, which I think is like up to $300 now. It's absurd. So, and that'll give you access for the whole semester. The other thing you can do, if you're tight on money, I don't necessarily recommend this, is that you can do Launchpad for a free 14-day trial. So if you were feeling particularly industrious, you could just do all your Launchpad activities in 2 weeks and then be done with it. So that's another option. Other questions? All right, well, I'm going to show you our Blackboard page now. And then that'll help, I think, find things for you all as well. Alrighty, so this is the student view. So this is what you'll see when you log on. If any of you, for some reason, are not on the Blackboard page, please let me know and I can add you. Every once in a while, there's just problems communicating between WebAdvisor and Blackboard. So we have this little business here. So everything I just went over is always accessible right here. I recommend, if you don't want to print out the whole syllabus, printing out just that last page, the schedule. I typically post them on my walls and like highlight when things are due. So recommend using that just to help you keep on your toes. Here's my info if you just real quick want to contact me. So I said, because I talk quickly, I try to sort of like help you all with that. And so I actually provide you with the PowerPoints. So you can either open them as a PDF, in which case it will open like this with the notes sections next to it. And some people like to print those out and handwrite notes. Or you can download the PowerPoint itself. And what people have been pretty successful doing with this is to just save it to their hard drive and type the notes in like the notes section of the PowerPoint slide. So that's another way to do it. That way you don't have to write down what's on the slide. You can pay more attention to what I'm saying, which often goes beyond what's on the slide. And again, it helps you keep up because I talk like quickly, even when I consciously try to slow myself down. All right, and here's where you can access those Launchpad assignments. Yes, and I believe, like Romina said, as soon as you register, it will give you access not only to Launchpad, but also to that ebook, which is great. And then you can get to them right from here if you don't want to try to remember that connect or that Launchpad link. But yeah, I can't do it because I already have my account set up. But if you click here, it'll give you instructions on how to register. And then all the activities, these links will take you right to the assignment. So again, if you don't ever want to have to try to mess with navigating the Launchpad system. It's not that hard, but there's a lot of it I don't assign. You know, this is the easy way to do it. Here's where you'll turn in that media project when it's due in a couple months. Here's where I have the rubric for the group project. It's also once I have the groups assigned where I'll have that list as well. And an option that I haven't done but I can do is I can also set up groups within Blackboard once we have that. And those are spaces where you can collaborate. So let me, that's pretty much it. The Blackboard's pretty straightforward. The nice thing is there is a little link to get to your grades right away. So as you do things, they'll all show up. So let me stop sharing that. So yeah, again, I try to make everything clear, accessible, try to help you all with my rapid speaking. Now, the next thing that I am going to share is just a little PowerPoint that I've made about some Zoom tips. And this is something I had put together last summer, but I've updated it since then because I realized that there were a lot of things that I missed that I wanted to share. So share that. And so when I did this, I didn't have anyone else around that I could Zoom with. So there are just pictures of me on my phone and my computer talking to myself. So there I am. Woohoo! So this is, again, what you should see in front of you. And I'm going to go over what all the different controls mean for y'all. All right, so down here at the bottom, you can mute and unmute yourself. You can also start and stop your video. If you click on participants, it'll give you a list of everyone who's here. When you're presenting, this is how you can share your screen. And then the chat will also be really useful. So we'll talk about that in a second as well. All right, so if you have more than one microphone, maybe you're using a headset, you may need to tell Zoom which one to use. And this, if you click on this little caret next to the mic, it'll let you do that. Same thing for your camera. So for example, I plug my laptop into a docking station that has dual monitors. So that's why sometimes you'll see me looking over here. So that's where my Zoom controls end up when I'm screen sharing. So if I try to have the integrated webcam on right now, it would just show darkness because my laptop's closed. So you might need to do that as well. So in there, let me back up real quick here. You can also choose to use a virtual background if you want. I don't because the curly hair makes it really pixelated, but they are fun. So Zoom does have about 5 standard ones you can use, but then you can also select pictures from your own computer gallery. So these are some by professional photographers from Virginia Beach and OBX that I really like. And I also have some of my own photos as options for myself. Yeah, I only use them if I have to like do a professional meeting from my bedroom. So I look a little more professional because it's the pixelation. But if you have smooth hair, it won't be that much of an issue. Okay, so if you look at your own photo, there and hover over it, it might give you an option of 3 little dots in the upper right-hand corner, or you might have to right-click if you're on a PC. And doing that, oops, sorry, will bring up this little box. And so here's another place you can mute yourself or unmute yourself, another place you can start or stop your video. But the other really helpful thing here is to rename. So for example, if you have to sign on with your phone one day and it just shows like iPhone, this is how you can like make sure your name is actually there. I am gonna take attendance just based on who's on the Zoom chat. So do make sure you do that when you are not on your own computer. This is also like if you're doing different types of meetings, a really nice thing to do. So like our church is on Zoom, for example. So I don't necessarily want to say Dr. Terry Myers, so I just change it to like the Myers-Schillers. Alrighty, so here's what it should look like if you pull up the participants panel. And down here at the bottom, there's an option to raise your hand. and some other reactions you can do. And I believe since I made this, they expanded the reactions as well. So lots more of those you can do. Great for when people give presentations, so we can give them a round of applause, for example. The chat, I highly recommend using. This is a really nice way to ask questions without unmuting yourself. When I'm lecturing, I keep the chat open and I keep an eye on it, and I'll like pause and answer those questions. But if you don't mind unmuting yourself, that's another option. If more than one people want to ask something at once, I also found this works really well in terms of being like, hey, I have a question. And then I can be like, oh, you know, so-and-so, why don't you unmute and tell us what you wanted to know. So we won't use breakout rooms too often in this class, but I think we'll use them a couple times. So if we do that, you'll get a message that looks like one of these two, depending on your system. You just click join, and then you'll end up in a room that looks like this, so fewer people. Same basic tools, but a couple different things here at the bottom. So ask for help will send me a pop-up message in the main room, and then I'll be able to bop into your room and help you out. And then if you wanted to like just go to the main room and ask me a question, you can leave the breakout room. Then once you're there and you want to go back to your group, you can use this same area of the screen to rejoin your breakout room. Oops. It's also where I will broadcast a message like, hey, 5 minutes left. And then when the breakout rooms are going to close, it gives you a 60-second notification. You can either go back right away if your group is done, or you can wait, and at the end it will just automatically bring you back in. All right. And again, I know most of you are more Zoom experts than usual now. Something we never thought that we wanted to be experts on, right? The other fun thing about Zoom is we can do things like polls. So I am going to toss a poll up there for you all real quick, just because I'm sort of curious how you all are going to be accessing class. So go ahead, and it should show up, and go ahead and answer it. All right, so there were a couple people who didn't answer, but we can still see. So most of you will be using your computer, and some of you will be mixing up between phone and computer. That's good. Yeah, having access to a computer is helpful, just because I find the chat is a little bit easier to use on the computer, but it works very well on the phone too. That's actually how we do some of the things when we don't want to call my laptop out. So. Alrighty, so now what I'd love for you all to do is introduce yourselves. So name, and in particular, if there is like a nickname you'd rather be called versus what might be written in WebAdvisor. And I'm gonna put this in the chat. And then your major, oh, and your pronouns. So mine are she, her. And then we'll just do something you're looking forward to this semester. It doesn't have to be specific to this class, but I feel like there's a lot of bad going on in the world right now. So I think like having the opportunity to be optimistic can be helpful. So that's in the chat now, so that you can re-refer to it when we go through. And what I'll have you do, because I know that your names don't show up in the same order for you as they do for me, is I'll just call on the first person. And then when you're done, just call. So I'll put this in the chat too. Just call on the next person, either next to you or, you know, whoever. So call on. So Sydney is to my right, so I'm going to call on her first.
Okay, good morning. My name is Sydney, and that's what I go by. I'm a psych major, and I'm on a pre-med track. I go by she, her, And something I'm looking forward to this semester is just finding new ways to like hang out with friends outside of like being in the house or something like that. And I'm gonna call on Allie.
Hi, I'm Allie. I'm a psychology major, she, her, and something I'm looking forward to is I'm doing an internship this semester. So I'm really excited for that to get more experience and also to get out of the house since all my classes are remote. So I actually get to go to the internship site, I'm excited for that. And I'm gonna call on Jenna.
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I go by Jenna. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a criminal justice major with the psych and Spanish minors. And I'm looking forward to, I don't know, COVID to be over. And I'm going to call in Romina. Is that how you say it?
Hi everyone, I'm Romina. I'm a psychology major. I go by she, her, and I'm looking forward to graduating because I'm on a student visa, so I'll be able to work full-time for a year, which I haven't been able to do for a while. So I'm excited for that. Sorry, I forgot. I'm Logan. I'm gonna call him Logan.
My name is Logan. I'm a rec therapy major. Pronouns are she, her. Something I'm looking forward to this semester is being able to have my basketball season. And Anaya.
Hi, I'm Anaya. I'm a double major in psychology and English with a concentration in fiction writing. My pronouns are she, her, something I'm looking forward to this semester. I'm president of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, so I'm looking forward to try and make that fun because I am remote, so it's kind of hard, but I'm looking forward to making that work this semester. And I'm gonna call on Kayla.
Hello, I'm Kayla. Whoa, sorry. I'm majoring in psychology and minoring in sociology. My pronouns are she, her. And I'm also looking forward to actually having a softball season this year. So yeah. Carla.
I'm Carla. I am a double major in bio and psych. My pronouns are she, her. And something that I'm looking forward to is hopefully walking for graduation. I'm going to call on Sophia.
Hi, my name's Sophia. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a psychology major as well. Something I'm looking forward to. Someone said it, but like COVID being over and also being able to play softball. Maddie Hudson.
Hi, my name's Madison. A lot of people call me Maddie. I'm also a psych major, she, her, and I'm also looking forward to hopefully having a softball season this year because last year I was a freshman, so I haven't like had a full season. So I'm really looking forward to that. Sasha?
Okay, hi, I'm Sasha. I am a double major in psychology and women and gender studies. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm looking forward to learning more in depth about the mental disorders. Nathan?
Nathan, we can't hear you, so I don't know if there's something up with your mic. If it's not working, feel free to just type it in the chat. All right, so since Nathan seems to be having tech difficulties, let's go ahead. The next person I see on my screen who hasn't gone yet is Ryan.
How are y'all? My name is Ryan. I am a recreational therapy major. I go by he, him. I'm ready to graduate. That's about it. And Maddie, girly.
My name is Madeline, but I go by Maddie. I'm a rec therapy major. My pronouns are she, her, and something I'm looking forward to is having a full lacrosse season. And you can go, Haley.
My name is Haley Witt, and I'm a psychology major with a business minor. And one thing I'm looking forward to is Grey's Anatomy coming out with the rest of the season and actually having an outdoor track season this year. And my pronouns are she, her. And Miranda can go.
I'm Miranda. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a rec therapy major, and I'm looking forward to competing in cross country and track. I don't know who, Brittany.
My name is Brittany. That's what I go by. I'm a psych major. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm just looking forward to spending time with my friends more. And I don't know if anyone else has it going.
I believe Madison Rose is last but not least.
So sorry, I'm also at work, so my coworker is making fun of me. My name is Madison Rose. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a biology major and minoring in psych. What I'm looking forward to this semester is just going back to school. I took a semester break because of COVID, so I'm just looking forward to being back in class.
Well, welcome back and welcome everybody. Okay, so I have one more thing I want you all to do today, and then you can sign off whenever you do this. So in the chat, oh, and Nathan put his in there, so make sure you check that out so we know who he is as well. Yeah, I'd really like to see snow too. I miss it from being from the Midwest. So in the chat, go ahead and type your personal definition of abnormal. So just go ahead and you can type it just to me or send it to everybody. And then after you do that, you can go ahead and sign off, and I will see you Thursday. Although I think I'm going to see some of you this afternoon too in Psych and Law. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. And once you've typed your response, you can sign off and you get the next 15 minutes to yourself.
Dr. Myers, I had a question for you.